Namaskar. Let us start today's session with some beautiful declarations. These declarations are very much needed for an enlightened being, because every human being is a god, but very few are masters. A realized God is called as a master. One who has successfully accomplished the true I am is called a master. One who has an insight. One who is having a contemplation. One who is successful enough to have an introspection is called as an enlightened being. A realized God is called as a master. For a master, declarations are very much, I mean to say, the declarations reflect the grandness of a master. What I mean to say is, the declarations reflect the grandness of a master. So, today also, let us start this beautiful episode with these grandest declarations. I am a beautiful soul. I am a beautiful consciousness. I am a beautiful spirit. I am a joyous entity. I am not this physical embodiment. I am not this materialistic embodiment. I am an entity who is going to exist forever and ever and ever. I am there in the existence since there is no time where I am not there in the existence. There may be innumerable gods celebrating their life in this beautiful universe. But all the beautiful gods have emerged into existence at one time, at a stage. No God is senior to me, no God is junior to me. We are all gods, equal. We are all divine beings. And the so-called stupid death is not going to hamper my foreverness. I continue to exist even after I exit from this embodiment. The so-called death is not going to hamper my foreverness. I am the grandest entity. I have emerged into this existence on my own. स्वयंभू के हैसियत से मैं अस्तित्व में आ पहुंचा. I am a beautiful God. The one and only purpose of this incarnation is to nurture my neurological brain with sufficient spiritual knowledge. With these beautiful declarations, I welcome each and every aspirant for this beautiful spiritual discourse. So welcome, sir. Thank you. Namaskar. Jai Vastu. Yes. See, today my endeavor is to teach you the synopsis of our accomplishment, of our accomplishments for the last 4 days. The synopsis of teachings of Lord Sri Krishna from sloka number 11 to sloka number 15, I have presented in a table form. Once if you have a glance, you will be able to remember the synopsis forever. Again I repeat, my dear aspirants, my endeavor, तेरा प्रयत्न ये है my endeavor is to present the entire synopsis of these beautiful slokas in a table form, so that with one glance you will be able to remember all the teachings of Lord Sri Krishna. Okay? See, there may be innumerable generations, civilizations which have emerged on this earth planet. There may be innumerable civilizations. Many civilizations have taken birth on this earth planet. In the time span, many civilizations have lost their existence. Innumerable civilizations, generations were there on this platform called Terra. Many have come, many have vanished. And if you analyze the lifestyles of those incarnations, if you analyze the lifestyles of the human beings who are part and parcel of those incarnations, surprisingly, there will not be any similarities in their lifestyles, in their food habits, in their dressing sense, in their priorities. There will not be any resemblances in the lifestyles of the human beings of one incarnation, one civilization to another civilization. But the astonishing thing is, there is one similarity which is very much clear in all the civilizations. Though there are many differences between one civilization to another civilization, but one predominant factor is visible in all the civilizations. But one predominant factor, predominant similarity is visible in all the civilizations of the human race. What is the predominance? What is the predominant similarity? What is the predominant similarity? That predominant similarity is worry, anxiety, depression, pathetic mood, the tragedy of the human being. The tragedy of the human being. And what is the cause? Lord Sri Krishna, the beautiful master teacher, has analyzed, has done sufficient probe, and he has realized the cause of worry of the human race is like this. So, the cause of worry, the cause of anxiety, the cause of depression of the human race is like this. The first cause of worry, the first cause of depression of the human being is death. The fear of human being is always death. All the human race are worried, they feel anxiety, they get depressed if they remember about their death. Supposing if he is little bit matured enough, if he has already been introduced to spiritual knowledge, if he has already learned that he is a beautiful soul, then the cause of that particular being is death of the physical embodiment. He says, yes, I am a soul, I am a spirit, I am a light being. I am there in the existence forever, but still I am worried because I am losing my embodiment. The second cause of worry is death of the physical embodiment. And the third one is the untoward events happening in the real life. As I already made it very clear, the term incarnation itself is nothing but sum of incidents. Sum of incidents. there will be innumerable incidents which will be happening in the human race, in the life of, in the incarnation of a human being. Okay? Some untoward incidents are bound to happen in every human being's life. Some untoward events, some unceremonious events are bound to happen in the life of every human being. And those untoward events are the cause of misery, are the cause of anxiety for the human being. These are the causes of misery. These are the causes of anxiety. These are the causes of depression of the human race. The first one is death. The second one is death of the physical embodiment. The untoward events happening in the real life. Lord Sri Krishna, in the very first attempt, attacked the cause of misery of the human being, the so-called death. In chapter number 2, verse number 12, he has categorically made it very clear about the grandness of our foreverness. If you could understand the sloka of chapter number 2, verse number 12, you will come out of the misery. If you could understand the magical teaching of chapter number 2, verse number 12, you will come out of the misery caused by death. Again, I repeat, my dear aspirants, if you could understand the magical teaching of chapter number 2, verse number 12, you will come out of the clutches of the cause of death. You will come out of the clutches of the misery caused by death. Caused by the term called death. Because in chapter number 2, verse number 12, Lord Sri Krishna has categorically made it very clear that we are going to exist even after we exit from this embodiment. He has made it very clear that we are grander entities, we are forever entities. हम शाश्वत है. The more and more you understand about your foreverness, the more and more you understand about your grandness, the more and more you understand that death is not going to hamper your foreverness. So, the more and more you realize the fragrance of sloka number 2, verse number 12, chapter number 2, verse number 12, naturally, the intensity of the misery caused by the concept of death disappears. It gets, the intensity is lost. Okay? And the another cause for misery of the human being is death of the physical embodiment. Supposing an aspirant is very much aware that he is not the embodiment, that he is the soul, that he is the spirit. But still, he is worried. The cause of worry is, though I am going to exist forever in the existence, I am going to lose my beautiful embodiment. My death is not for my sake. My misery, I am not worrying for my sake. My worry is about the death of the embodiment. I am going to lose this beautiful embodiment. This embodiment is going to die, which is making me worried. The cause of misery is the death of the embodiment. That particular cause has been attacked by Lord Sri Krishna in chapter number 2, verse number 13 and verse number 22. Because he has categorically made it very clear that it's like a peanut. If the soul wants to visit this terra once again, with one thought power, it can easily create a new, fresh embodiment as per its requirements. So, worrying for the death of embodiment is stupidity. Worrying for the death of embodiment is stupidity. Because once a soul has decided to advent into this earth planet once again. With one single thought power, it can create another fresh embodiment. In continuation to that, in chapter number 2, verse number 22, he says that he has compared the soul and embodiment with human being and his dress. So it is where a human being changes, discards the dress which has become outdated or which has become vanished. He will throw that into dustbin and decorate him with the new piece of dress. In the same way, the soul discards the embodiment which doesn't suit for its requirements, which has become a mere past or waste, and it prefers a new embodiment. So, if you could understand the magical teachings of 13 and 22, the intensity of misery is lost, vanished. In the same way, the another cause for the misery of human race is the untoward incidents happening in the real life. And Lord Sri Krishna clarifies in chapter number 2, verse number 14, that the cause of misery is not the untoward events happening in the real life, but the cause of misery is contaminating our thinking pattern with the incidents happening in the real world. Contaminating our thinking pattern with the data collected by the sensory organs. Contaminating our thinking pattern with the data collected by the sensory organs. And in chapter number 2, verse number 15, he recommends a beautiful divine medicine with the grandest efficacy. He says, a realized enlightened being will respond equally to all the incidents, positive and negative incidents, favorable and unfavorable incidents which are happening in his real life, because he has realized the grandest truth that all the incidents which are happening in the real life, from birth to death, it is only a mere fantasy. There is no reality in the real life. It is only a virtual reality. There is no reality in the real life. He knows that it is only a dramatic, all these incidents are like a dramatic scenarios, and he doesn't care for them. Because he has realized, once he has realized that entire humanity is a fiction, naturally there will not be any friction. Once he has realized that entire humanity is a fiction, naturally there won't be any friction in that. Because he has sufficiently realized that all the incidents which are happening in the human being's life from birth to death is only a drama, a dramatic scenario. Nothing in no incident of the physical world is really real. Because we are not human beings at all. We are just playing the character for a while. So once, if you understood that reality is not really real, that the so-called physical existence doesn't exist at all, then he will not be influenced by the untoward events, favorable events, unfavorable events. His response to favorable incident is the same, to unfavorable incidents also is the same. He is unshakable, he is impeccable. This is the total table we have learned from the last 3-4 days. The cause of misery, the cause of anxiety, the cause of depression of the entire human race is like this. One is death, the other is death of the physical embodiment, the third one is the untoward events happening in the real life. If you could understand the magical teaching of verse number 12, the misery, the intensity of the misery caused by the concept of death disappears, and because chapter number 2, verse number 12 12 speaks about the grandness of our foreverness. And the second cause is death of the physical embodiment. Second cause is death of the physical embodiment. Some beings are introduced to spirituality. They have sufficiently realized that they are not the embodiments, they are the beautiful souls, they are beautiful spirits. But in spite of their realization, still they are worried because though the soul is not dying, the embodiment is dying. The beautiful, magical, this peace is dying. That misery is being discarded by Lord Sri Krishna in the sloka number 13 and 22, because in 13 he has categorically made it very clear that if really the soul wants to visit this terra, just like that, with one thought, with one creation, it can create another fresh embodiment which suits its requirements, which suits his requirements. Extending, in continuation to that, in 22, he has said that it is very easy. He has explained the relationship between soul and embodiment with human being and his dress. Okay? Yes. The third cause of misery of the human being is the untoward events happening in the real life. In 14, if you could understand the magical teaching of 14, the intensity of the misery caused by untoward events happening in the real life, they get disappeared, they get discarded. The intensity is lost. In chapter number 14, he has categorically made it clear. It is only the misunderstanding of human being. It is only the misunderstanding of the human being. That the cause of misery is not the untoward events. The cause of misery is contaminating our thinking pattern with the data collected by the sensory organs. And chapter number 15, chapter number 2, verse number 15. Yes, data. He has given the favorable, he has recommended the beautiful divine medicine with beautiful efficacy. He says, an enlightened being, a beautiful enlightened being will neither get influenced by the favorable incidents or nor get depressed by the unfavorable incidents. His response towards the real life is always the same. So this is what I wanted you to write it down. I wanted you to understand. So the synopsis of entire slokas I have presented in a table form. Jayastu. And today's topic is Sankhya Sastra, sloka number 16. The topic of today is chapter number 2, the Sankhya Sastra, verse number 16.
Bhagavad Gita, Sankhya Sastra, chapter number 2, sloka number 16. Nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataha, ubayorapi drushtontaha, tvanayo sattvadarsibihi.
The so-called Asat, see, that is the sloka.
The so-called Asat doesn't exist at all. The grandest Sat always exists. Non-existence doesn't apply to Sat. Only the Tattvajnani is entitled to realize the comprehensive knowledge of these two concepts.
Yes. So, the sloka is that the meaning of that sloka is like this. The so-called Asat doesn't exist at all. The grandest Sat always exists. Non-existence of non-existence doesn't apply to Sat. Only the Tattvajnani is entitled to realize the comprehensive knowledge of these two beautiful concepts. That is the meaning. My dear aspirants, I appeal to you, the crux of this beautiful teaching is Tattvadarshi bihi drushtaha. Tattvadarshi bihi drushtaha. I repeat, the magical terminology used by Lord Sri Krishna in this beautiful sloka is Tattvadarshi bihi drushtaha. That means the prism of an enlightened being, the dimension of an enlightened being, the prism of an enlightened being, the dimension of an enlightened being, the scholarly being. So, this particular sloka is the dimension of an enlightened being, the prism of an enlightened being. Okay. The first thing is the Tattvajnani. I think you all know the true meaning of Tattvajnani by this time. Tattvajnani means, first of all, you should understand Tat Tattvam. Tat plus Tvam. Tat means God. Tvam means you. Tattva means you are God. In chapter number 17, verse number 23, Lord Sri Krishna has categorically made it very clear that Tat means God, God means Tat. Tat plus Tvam. Tat means God, Tvam means you. Tattva means you are God. Tattvajnana means that knowledge which makes to realize about which makes you realize about your divinity. Tattvajnana means that knowledge which makes you realize about the grandness of your divinity. So Tattvajnani means a realized God. Tattvajnani means a realized God. He says this magical phenomenon, discrimination between Sat and Asat is possible only with the grandest master teacher, an enlightened being. Only an enlightened being is competent enough, only an enlightened being is competent enough to understand what is Sat and what is Asat. What are the differences between Sat and Asat? So, initially he has begun with the teaching of Asat. See, this Terra, this Earth planet, Sun, Moon, stars, galaxies, the planets, they are physically in the existence. Though all the galaxies are enjoying the physical existence, the Sun, the Moon, the Earth planet, the stars, the planets, the galaxies, though they appear to be as if they are in existence, but if you analyze from the spiritual point, you will realize that they are not Sat, they are Asat. Sat means that which is in existence. Asat means that which doesn't have the existence. हैसियत नहीं है. That which is not entitled to be called as existence. सत क्या है? Existence. असत क्या है? Non-existence. Only an enlightened being is entitled to teach, is entitled to differentiate between Sat and Asat. Only an enlightened being is entitled to differentiate between Sat and Asat. The magic is the so-called Asat can never come into existence. The Asat may do all the efforts. The Asat may do all the exercises. The Asat may do all the attempts, in spite of the sincere attempts made by the Asat, it can never transform itself into Sat. So there is no possibility of Asat becoming Sat. And he also says that Sat continues to be existence, continues to celebrate its existence. The Sat can never become Asat. And why is teaching all those things? Because the Sat is the grandest phenomenon quality of the soul, spirit, the true I am. It is only the soul is entitled to call itself as Sat. The fragrance of flower can be compared with the Sat and soul, Sat and spirit. Sat is our original quality. Sat is our grandest original quality. Sat is our innate consciousness. We are endowed with the grandest, beautiful, original quality called Sat. We are endowed with grandest, beautiful, original quality called Sat, the existence. The another term for soul is Sat. The another term for soul is Sat. So, in chapter number 2, verse number 16, he has introduced the concept called Sat. And he says, all the spirits are endowed with the grandest phenomenon concept called Sat. And what is Sat? Sat means that which exists on its own, that which is in existence forever and always, that which exists everywhere, that which exists everywhere. I repeat, what exactly is meant by Sat? Sat means that which exists on its own. Sat means that which exists forever and always. Sat means that which exists everywhere. Everywhere. See, supposing there is one being is there now, but he was not there earlier. Then he is not entitled to be called as Sat. There is one particular thing. It is there in one particular territory, but it is not there in another territory. It is not entitled to be called as Sat. Sat means first thing is it should exist on its own. Second thing is it should exist forever and always. Third thing is it should exist everywhere. It should exist in each and every inch of the universe. It should be a pervading entity. These qualities are very much needed for Sat. So, we are entitled to be called as Sat. Can I tell you one thing? That which is being substantiated by the sensory organs is not entitled to be called as Sat. The so-called physical world, the so-called sun, the so-called moon, the so-called planets, the so-called stars, they are not entitled to be called as Sat because they have not emerged into the existence on their own. It is we have created them. So, they can never climb themselves into Sat. The magical formula is Sat cannot become Asat, Asat cannot become Sat. That which is existing can never become non-existing. That which is non-existing can never become existing. We are the souls, we are the gods, we are the spirits, we are the light beings. Only we are entitled to call ourselves as Sat. Because we have emerged on our own. We are not limited to this embodiment. We exist in each and every inch of the universe. We are always there. We will always be in the existence. But this physical embodiment is not entitled to be called as Sat. Because the physical embodiment has not emerged into existence on its own, and it is not going to exist forever. There are times where this physical embodiment has not come into the existence. So, though we can experience our embodiment, it is still non-existent. Though we cannot experience the embodiment, though we cannot experience the soul, the spirit, the original consciousness, the light consciousness with our embodiment, still it is existing. Only the enlightened being is smart enough to discriminate between soul and embodiment, Sat and Asat, existing and non-existing. Again I repeat, my dear friends, in chapter number 2, verse number 16. 16 is sweet, this sloka is also sweet. 16 is young, this sloka is also young. 16 is fresh, this sloka is also as fresh as 16. In all the earlier slokas, he was calling our original consciousness as soul, as spirit, as forever. But for the first time, he has introduced a beautiful term called Sat, Sachitanandagana Parabrahma Swarupam. Sat means existing. Sat means uniki. Sat means asti. Sat means astitva, astitva ka asti. We, the souls, we, the spirits, only we are entitled to call ourselves as Sat. Sat means that which has emerged into existence on its own. That means which continue to exist forever and always. That means which exists everywhere in this universe. Each and every inch of the universe is captivated with Sat. The irony is, the physical embodiment appears to be as if it is in existence, but it doesn't exist at all, because it is not entitled to call itself as Sat, because it has not emerged on its own. It is not existing everywhere. And there are times where this embodiment is not there. And it is not sure that this embodiment is going to continue forever. But the soul has emerged into existence on its own. The jurisdiction of the soul is not limited to this top to toe. The soul exists everywhere. It is always there. It exists everywhere. It is going to exist forever. So, my dear aspirants, let us proudly announce that we are souls. We are entitled to call ourselves as entitled. We are entitled to call ourselves as existing, as existence, as a Sat, as Asti. No moon, sun, planets, the stars, this physical embodiment, this physical world cannot claim itself as Sat. And one more beautiful magical teaching is, it is not possible to transfigurate Sat into Asat as well as Asat into Sat. The transfiguration of Sat to Asat, Asat to Sat is not possible. Let us enjoy, because we are there in existence. We continue to exist. The fragrance of existence. Sat Chit Ananda Ghana Parabrahma Swarupam. Okay? So, with this beautiful teaching for today, I am going to stop. Tomorrow, I am going to teach a beautiful new sloka. Namaskar. Jai Vastu.